Very few people teach this. It's how we get our best buying prospects to become our best buyers, and how we do the credibility authority switch elegantly and organically rather than salesy. The big thing on this framework that's super, super important is that rich people hate their problems worse than poor people do. And whether that's true or not, rich people can pay for the problems they're looking to solve than poor people can. I have a lot of stories in this, but I'll tell you, like, what happens a lot is that if you stand with somebody who's very wealthy and you're sitting with them long enough, they're going to start complaining about something. And they will pay for that problem to go away, and they have the means to pay for it to go away. And it'll happen much faster than if you're talking to cousin Louie at the family party and he's just going to bitch because the Cubs lost again. Right? This is like real truth, right? And so the thing about that to understand is that if I have a choice of how to market, position, and like where to target, I'm going to go after people that have the money, the means, and with our stuff. Now, does that negate you from your other 60%, 80% of your market? No. But one of my good friends, Perry Marshall, potential client we're working together, trying to help him on his seminars, he wrote the book 80-20 Rule for Marketing and Sales. It's a book that was based on the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. You guys all know the Pareto principle, right? Okay. Yeah, if you guys need extra sheets and stuff, just here, you can write on the back of these too. But the Pareto, you will work with there, I know, Joe. But like the Pareto principle is 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your activities. 80% of your profit is going to come from 20% of your patients. And so when guys work with me, I don't spend time talking about getting the 80% of the population. I want to help you identify, clarify, crystallize, how do we go after the top 20%? And then how do we even go after the top 20% of the 20%? And the reason why it's important, and Cassandra, we were talking about too, is if you have time on your hand, but even if I didn't have time, if you ran a lunch and learn to go after your best buyers, and even only 3 showed up, if 1 buy, but they're a best buyer, that could be a $40,000 case. And if I said to a local, like professional dentist, lawyer, whatever, and I said, hey, do a lunch and learn at your local country club, right? Pay for a free pro golf lesson, but they have to be, I'm just making this up. But I'm telling you, like, look, hey, if they sent I'm just making this up, but we're gonna do a marketing campaign right on the spot. Hey, for anyone over the age of 50, 55, who is missing teeth, has this problem, XYZ, we're going to host a lunch at our Ridge Country Club, which is where I belong to. And everyone who shows up gets a $100 golf lesson with the pro there. And I'm willing to do up to 12. But they have to like actually fill out the form. Yes, I'm serious about being committed. Because you don't want looky-loos where they're like, oh, I'm just there for the golf lesson. No, we're building a little bit of reciprocity. We're building a little bit of, like, as Cialdini would say, you're putting it in the tank so that people are coming back. There's no way you're not going to make money with it. There's no way you're not going to get people talking. And then you cap it at 12. Oh my gosh, no, I only 12, 30, whatever. So anyhow, is that worth the time and investment? The answer is yes. And without question, going after it. But I want to go back to one simple thing. But Perry Marshall talks about, you've already lost money spending it on people that are your bottom 20%. And what I love specifically about selling premium price services, specifically something like dental implants, is you're following the Tesla model. And it's really funny in this day and age where people get offended about Elon Musk. But here's the reality about it. When they launched out Tesla, did he come out with the cheapest mainstream product, or did he come out with the most elaborate premium elite thing? And he did. Why? Because that pays for cash flow. So if I'm going to invest money in advertising, why aren't we promoting to the one that has the highest potential return on investment? But also what I like about like dental implants specifically is it backfills the rest of the practice, because you're not only going to get people that want single tooth implants, you're going to get people that have crowns, broken teeth, other cosmetic smile makeovers. They're going to have wives. They're going to have kids. Like it begins to profitably fill the rest of the business. Really funny story. So I was telling Joe the story before you got there. I told him I won't work with sleep apnea docs anymore. And the reason being was the lifetime value is not there. The speed to cash flow is not there to be doing external advertising. And so when we look at spending money on advertising, I have two really good stories. The first thing I look at when I work with clients is, okay, day zero profitability. And it could be like day 0 to 30, but because 30 is probably a real day. But just say we're looking at that. But when I consult with supplement companies, because I still actually own a supplement company, but one of the craziest things we ever did was if somebody, like heart supplements, eye supplements, is that one of the things that we did, because I was looking at a golf supplement, like cognitive joint pain for golfers. It was called Golf Fuel. And they did something where I was currently selling my product for one bottle, $39.95. If you buy 2 bottles, we discount it to $31. And if you buy 4 bottles, it would be like $28. This golf product was selling for $69 for 1 bottle, $119 for 2 bottles, and then $199 for 4 bottles. And I was like, that's crazy. Who's going to buy a 1 bottle of supplements for 69 bucks? But then here's where it got crazier. If they purchased, he then offered them 6 more bottles for $239. I was like, that's nuts. But they were successful. They're smart guys. So I said, okay, we're going to put our judgment of what works on the side and we're going to test. What are we going to do? Yeah, everything's a test. And so anyhow, we went ahead and did that. And the only thing that happened, this would blow you away. We doubled the revenue per buyer immediately. I then even went deeper into, I changed my angle to target people with heart, like concerns, blood pressure. And so now I went from a longevity angle to a condition, and our conversion rates went up. So check this out, guys. We not only doubled our value per client, but we also increased our conversion rate. Our company went from doing $100,000 a month to doing $1.2 million a month in less than 3 months. And I literally remember this going over to my bookkeeper every single day. I'm like, is something broken? Are we double billing people? Has there been any chargebacks yet? Are we getting, we're stealing something from somebody because I don't know what the hell's going on. And it was so funny because it just literally was like, it was one of those moments where my CFO came in and was like, hey, you either got to change something or you're going to buy. We were profitable like on the books, but we weren't profitable as a company with cash flow because you have to buy the supplements 60 days in advance. Like our cash flow was, even though we were trying to grow, my cash flow was going in the other direction. He's like, you got to change something. I was looking at this one company who's charging more.
So this is after this.
No, I'm just going back to the reason I pulled the trigger on this is because I had no other choice. I was like, okay, we can wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks of testing into this. But we had ran a test where, they talk about statistical significance of like tests, like you need 1,000 visitors or 1,000 buyers. We had only had 40 buyers, but the average value per client was higher. And I was looking at it. I literally pulled a piece of paper out and I pulled up our Excel sheet of like when the orders would come in. I manually did it because I didn't have time for my team to figure it all out, send me the reports. Cause I got a phone with the CFO and I'm like, it was one of those moments. I'm at my kitchen table and I just mapped it out. I'm like, the last 100 orders, the 40 that came in, these guys were average value was like 250. The other funnel was 120. And I just made a phone call to my media buyer. I was like, okay, guys, flip 100% of the traffic. This is not a smart move. Let's get over to the new funnel. And then the next day,
You target the heart.
yes, and the higher price point. The more expensive, more specific problem, which goes to our point, rich people hate their problems more than poor people do. But now here's the other thing is since we're talking about cash flow and about marketing, because this is probably something I failed to do at a couple of my last events of talking about, if you're going to spend money on marketing, you need to talk about the quality of the lead you're going to get and how to think about cash flow so that you know what winning looks like. Okay. Now, I was telling Joe about an office I was just working with where we did a lunch and learn and they received 18 patients. But the problem, I'm using air quotes with that, is that they were already successfully getting referrals for their business. So they wouldn't make capacity for the new leads because they weren't as qualified as the ones they were getting referred to. And so I'm sitting there listening to we're on a conference call, and I was like, okay, so really what you want is a level 10 referral, which is, we all want that. And you guys are already getting those so that these new potential clients of yours, you're ignoring because they don't meet that level 10. However, they're just it's a timing issue of the quality of that lead. Like in 3 months, they are a level 10. You just got to help them with their paperwork and getting over to the right type of referral, right? With the right paperwork, test, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, because one of the things we talked about was how it's interesting, like something like sleep apnea, from the first condition or first time they have symptoms to the time they actually could be 7 years. So that just shows you that it's a longer cycle, man. I don't know what the study would be like for something like dental implants. I don't know what the study is like for something like luxury homes. Do people wait 3 years? Is it from the first inception? So when you're in the luxury space, you're going to have people that are like, they're further along their decision point. You have other people that are not, but they might be, but it pays us to do this. Stack authority assets so that it accelerates their know you, trust you, but also by you doing it now, when other people are sitting on the sidelines not doing it, what occurs is the seeds you're planting now are going to be sowed in 3 months. Sometimes it's going to be 6 months. Sometimes it's going to be 9 months. And so when people say it's not working fast enough or not, whatever, it's okay. There might be legitimate things you got to test and look at. But I said to the one office, I said, why don't you do this? I go, so it sounds like we did a lunch and learn. It's costing you $400 per patient. That's pretty good in my books. The problem you're dealing with is a timing issue of when you're going to see the $3,200 back. Like that's what you're really telling me, because what they want to do is let's just pause everything, wait 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, we don't work that way. Like we're not sitting here on the sidelines. Like we're not the lonely kid at the dance who's like looking for a date. We're busy. We don't wait 6 weeks and then see what happens. Like this is your data. My pro level crew is going to be with other clients in 6 weeks. So if you don't want to keep testing it, that's fine. So let us help you solve a problem. So what I said was, I was like, look, you guys do dental implants in your general practice, right? Yeah. Mike, let me talk to the doc because he's much more entrepreneurial. And so I was being the middleman. I had the client over here and I had my guys. I didn't give you this setup, but the setup was my buddy runs stem cell lunch and learns around the country in 50 states every weekend. Like they kill it. They've mastered the process. They know what they're doing. So for any of us to have access to that group could be a grand slam, but you got to test it. But I had their attention and they were willing to do 1 or 2 of these things at like their cost and not really make a lot of, they weren't making any money doing this for the office, which these guys failed to recognize what they were doing. So I said, why don't we do this? Why don't we talk to the doc, ask him if he wants to do a dental implant lunch and learn at 3 o'clock, and then we do the sleep apnea one at 6 o'clock, so that the dental implant side of the practice can actually pay for the most of the marketing because they're going to get the cash flow in, which then your sleep apnea side is getting a free ride. Let me think about it for 6 weeks and then I'll get back. I'm like, you're not understanding what I'm saying is let us at least tell the doctor the option on the table. And you're just trying to go over my head. I'm like, first of all, you're not paying me to be your consultant. The doctor is. And that didn't go over too well. But those are the creative ways that you can take like your assets, the things you're learning, and get it in front of people. Like I'm just telling you all right now, if I said to you, we're gonna do a little exercise in a little bit, but if I said right now, who are if we looked at like some of the things you're interested in, whether it's golfing, whether it's whatever, and you start like circling that kind of old school Harvey McKay, dig your wealth or dig your well before you're thirsty. There's people that if you just simply was like, hey, I was just interviewed on America's Leading Professionals, and you just sent it out to like, you had someone on your team strategically send it out to 300 people, the boomerang effect of it would be really powerful. And a lot of people they don't do that because they're afraid that it's going to come across as bragging. And so that's why we utilize what I call the sideways referral. I'll give you a minute to think about that one. Pretty good stuff, right? Yeah. This is like very underutilized. I don't want to say guerrilla marketing because when I think of like Jay Levinson, Conrad, I think of like you don't have any money, so that's why you're doing the guerrilla stuff. It's more about relationship marketing just to make sure that people are fully aware of the value you can bring to their life, right?
Because people just otherwise wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
Is this finding it?
All right, we're back. A couple of the key things is like, the question is, okay, how do we take my specialized knowledge, the thing that I'm really good at, and then how do I go find, we just started, but how do I find the people that are most likely to buy from me? And so what's really great about that question is that there's a couple answers to it, okay? Number one is if I can demographically, geographically target an area and then run like low budget video ads at that area, the behavior of that area will start allowing you to target them. So I have a multi-answer to this. Number one, what's super cool about this is that as I teach, okay, so this is an example of Dr. Keenan, right? So if we run ads with these videos in his area, he was getting leads for $8, right? But the other thing that I find really interesting about this, let me see if I can go all the way to this now, is that if we run, and my buddy Kurt Malley teaches this method, I'm just giving credit where credit's due. So right here is, you'll see, these are all the different video ads that we were running at $2, $3, $3, $3, $3, $10 a day, daily, in a very targeted geographic area. So what was happening was, we were able to target 1,000 people, get 1,000 impressions in that area for $4 to $7. What does that mean? Let me just explain what that means. That means that we had 1,126 people in his geographic targeted area watch 75% of his videos. Now, these are short videos, 3 minutes long. But let me ask a question. If I have a specific topic, like you guys are obviously aware, is if I say, how expensive are dental implants? And you got 308 people watching that, and it's a 4-minute video, that means they watched 3 minutes of it. Who in the heck watches 3 minutes of a video about that if they're not interested? Now, what's so powerful now is that we can run ads directly at this 1,126 people. Or we can target, we can go a little broader. So they got 25%, 3,326 people. Here's what's so insanely cool. This was off only $242 total spent. Oh, wow. Now you could go get a billboard for 10 grand a month. You're right. You can go get another Yellow Pages ad that's a full page that says, we do XYZ. Our doctor's really nice.
So that people there, 1,719 people there in town, whichever one,
Yeah.
watched, those people are now identifiable, and so that it can.
Correct. Through the platforms. Yeah. That's right. Now, so here's what's so powerful about this. So we have the media buyers I work with know the rules. Here's the rules. If it's over 3 minutes long, you can target 25% views, because that means somebody stuck in there like a minute and 15 seconds. So they've their behavior showed interest. And people are busy. And Facebook, by the way, just so you're aware of this too, Facebook is like a newspaper. It's not like Google PPC will always give you better quality leads. Always is always a strong word. Always is always a strong word. Never say always, but you'll always get more buyer intent through Google PPC, or a hidden gem for any industries being PPC, because the older demographic actually goes there, but very few people advertise on it, so it's cheaper. And then this is the other reason why I think everybody watching this video, or everybody I know that is actually selling anything, and these are strong words, but I think one of the greatest gifts you can give your children and grandchildren is a YouTube channel, a TikTok shop, an Instagram channel. And because here's the thing, those things are all free. Set up a corporation, because they'll say, oh, I'm 9 years old, so I can't do certain things on TikTok. You can if you become a corporation, right? And those assets are more important than a college degree. Swear to you, I would say to my kids, you should be, because this is what I say to my kids, you should be learning TikTok shop, AI, and how to sell using video. Those are the 3 things you should be learning how to do, right? Honestly. Yeah, but here's what's really cool about this. And I just want to go back to this real quick. What'll start happening is the algorithms, the AI for Facebook and YouTube and all these places, TikTok, they want to go find more people who are watching this. They don't want to waste views on people that are not interested in that. So they're going to go, so when you say, how do we go find our people? Well, you optimize for what you're targeting for. And instead of going super broad, we go very specific with our messaging. And that's how you're teaching the AI. So some of the questions I'll ask you in our interview, I already know what we want, because the AI, the algorithms, I want you to replace that with audience. Who's my level 10 client, prospective buyer? That's our messaging, because the AI will go find what they're looking for and engaging with. So it doesn't, like, people get so confused. You don't need to be confused. You just need to get aware that you just got to be aware that all we're doing is talking to people. And now there's this thing called technology and AI and algorithms that help us find our best buyers. That's all we're doing. And if we can get our messaging down and we understand how to tell stories in a way that elegantly persuades and influences people, we're definitely going to be in a blue ocean. Okay. Now, so you can have you now have a competitive vacuum, price elasticity, and speed of trust. And that's where we like to move, by utilizing video assets that tells our story, our best buyer story. Best buyers, I like using that. It's just because one of the terms I use a lot of is level 10, client, customer, or buyer. And we have an exercise, we may do a little bit of it today, where you identify it with real people. But when you demonstrate that you're different by creating video assets, and people see you're out there doing it, and everyone in the world is afraid of being out in public, being on stage, being this, but you're not, you're doing it, even though you might be internally like, I can't believe this isn't right. Yeah. Like, even though like you feel that way, the rest of the world just kind of assumes you're the authority, that you know what you're talking about, even if you don't. And so what happens in that is we now just manufactured a competitive vacuum that allows you to charge higher prices, and you could, because you build trust. And we've all done this, right? I always tell this story. Hopefully I'm not being redundant. I was in a really big hurry at the last event because I was supposed to have a full hour, and I knew this was going to happen. He just kept pushing me back on the timeline. And I'm like, dude, I'm flying out my kids got games the next day, and I'm not missing their games, bro. So if I got to bounce, I got to bounce. But when my wife and I put the addition on our house, we did not go with the cheapest builder. We didn't go with the mid-bid. We went with the most expensive builder, who walked in, looked at our plans, and was like, all right, number one is that guy's going to hate this job because he's lowballing you. So once he gets in here and you realize, he goes, we do these build outs. Like, these are the types of houses we build out. We have an old Victorian that we then put an addition on. This guy coincidentally had a Victorian house that he put on a big addition on. then he comes from an area in LaGrange, Illinois, which is 30 minutes from our house, where it's there's a lot of those older, more mystique houses. That's what they do. And then when he looked at plans, he's okay, you need to change this, you need to change that. He had a bigger family. You're going to want the space here. You're not going to need that, but you are going to want to put money here. It's worth the extra money here. And so he was the most expensive guy. So again, the best buyers aren't looking for the cheapest tools. They're looking for the people they trust the most, and they're not afraid to spend money on it. So this is where like we started doing the disguised interview as a way to pre-sell people. And I had already told you it came because a client came to me, wanted me to, I'm doing this for the video. I don't know if I told it, but he came to me, wanted me to work on his marketing copy. And I was like, look, dude, the fastest way to do any sales copy is just face-to-face. Let me interview. And then nowadays, you could take the interview, stick it in AI, let it generate a full sales letter based on it. So you don't need to write copy, but everybody knows who these people are, right? We got Tony Robbins, Cindy Crawford, Larry King, okay? And usually I'm a little more playful and have you guys engage with me more, but you guys can jump in there, whatever. But if you think about it, this was the beginning of my wingman company, and I didn't know what was happening because I was just trying to help a client. I wasn't trying to start a new way of doing things, right? But when I started looking back on every business that actually I had success with or that opened up doorways, if you look back, infomercials have always been the hardest place to sell people. And it's very similar to social media. The reason being is because people are sitting there with a clicker in their hand. They're looking for something to watch. And so for them to stop somebody in their tracks, get them to watch, get them to buy, they got to grab the attention. And then you got to ask yourself the question is, why is it that every single one of them utilizes an interview style, and they all use a wingman pitchman or pitch woman, right? So Valerie Bertinelli with Cindy Crawford, Fran Tarkenton, who was the ideal person. They didn't look at Tony Robbins at that time. I think it was like 27 years old. So with Tony, they probably weren't like, oh yeah, all the 27-year-olds are going to buy our product. No, they knew that personal development is traditionally who has the money, 45 on up, right? Who's really famous? Fran Tarkenton's really famous, right? Let's go get Fran. People will build a trust. We'll take this young kid nobody knows, and then we'll blend it with the trust authority, and we'll do it from there. Valerie Bertinelli, she was on she was on a couple shows, but her age demographic is exactly the female that fits the demographic that Cindy Crawford is trying to sell her skin cream to. And then Larry King, he's the most trusted voice in news when he's still alive, and they're selling a fish oil product. Who's knowing fish oil? Well, people with joint, brain, eyes, whatever. And so he's the trusted voice. And so that's why they're willing to spend the money. And it's so crazy. Like even to this day, this infomercial is still running. So why is it they use that? It's because you're borrowing the authority, right? And so the other thing that's happening right now is the mediums and media has changed. So where I met a guy at an event where he's, oh, we're going to go put a billboard up. I'm like, what are you spending on that? $10,000 a month. I'm like, well, for $10,000 a month, bro, you could be FedExing your ideal client in an area, in a demographic area. And you're going to make money. FedEx, for 10 grand a month, you can like literally walk to their house and ask them to come out. I'm like, but you're just putting a billboard up. I know that works for the personal injury top dog lawyer world, but my gosh, it's a lot of waste. And it's a hope and pray strategy. But for half of that, 5 grand a month, just imagine what you could be doing on syndicating content on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then X, and even TikTok. There's just a lot of opportunity. And the big difference that's changing is that people see YouTube now as a television station. And then they're even saying that I think 30% of videos that are being watched on YouTube are being watched on TV. So people are literally sitting there on their couch, opening their YouTube app and really like, is it?
That's not a big screen.
Yeah. I watch all my podcasts on YouTube. I listen to a lot of music. I love YouTube. And I think that big shift though is, I think here's the other thing. People go to YouTube to solve problems. It's the second largest. It's the second largest search engine in the world. If you're like, I have an attorney friend, Jeff Hampton, great guy. He hired me to do a wingman interview because he has a part of his law practice that helps people get asset protection in the short-term rental space. And he's also a criminal attorney, right? So he has a practice as well. What ended up happening is Jeff's an entrepreneur. So Jeff started just posting videos on YouTube, answering questions for his criminal law practice. What should you do if you get pulled over for a DUI? What should you do if XYZ? And he just started answering. Not only did his YouTube channel explode, his practice generated $2 million extra in revenue purely from his YouTube videos. But here's what's even crazier. With the Google AdSense, his YouTube channel, he's getting paid like 18 to 30 grand a month, just commissions from AdSense of people just watching. So when I say, look at it, if your biggest favor you can give your kids is a YouTube channel, a TikTok shop, and an Instagram, whatever, because literally the media game has changed, right? I just met really nice young guys down here in Tampa at Hampton Ice Creams. My daughters took me to it. It's like a famous place. Are you guys familiar with this at all? I'm like, it's silly, but they have contests. So you can get a ice cream cone with all this crap on it. And if you eat it within 10 minutes, you win something and you probably die the next day. But anyhow, the young guy came out, helped me with, I was like, oh, I was just waiting for my water. And this nice young kid, you could tell he's still in college. And then we go outside and my daughter starts talking to him and it turns out he's one of the owners. Wow. And they're now getting into helping like lawyers. And I said, dude, you need to reach out to dentists, like dental implant docs they'll ship the chocolates to your patients. It's like a referral campaign and a retention campaign. And, but anyhow, I said, how's business? How's things going? He goes, we figured out a few things on TikTok that really blew everything up for us. And I said, what is it? I didn't surprise me one bit. And now we just look for TikTok influencers in our area and they post about their experience with us and we give them a coupon code or something and people come flooding in. Here's something you guys really need to think about. The demographic that's underutilizing social, like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, is the 50 and over demographic, 45 and over demographic, especially men. No one's producing content we are just by doing some authority assets, stacking the assets, sticking them out there. No one's doing it. We think it's something a younger generation does, right? We have to rewire the agreements we've made with ourselves about how we can reach people, create value for people, get them to choose us as the place to go and spend money, because it's different than it was before. Just going to your local newspaper and running ads or going to the old school, build a funnel and just drive traffic at it. Guess what? The rest of the world figured that out. So that's not a commodity.
Involved with the influencers that are here.
Yeah, we could talk. So if I know for a fact that if we spent 10 minutes and we should probably, maybe if we don't do this now, we'll do like a module on this as a bonus, but literally you could pull up your thing. Instagram's a little more friendly, but you can go, hey, Tampa, Florida, your area, and then it'll sort by location. And you start seeing people and you start pinging them like, hey man, I love what you're doing over there, blah, blah, blah. You could just start engaging with people. And if there's 45-year-old female, whoever your perfect demographic is, we're looking for partners in this area that we can give free whitening to, or we're going to credit your account $500 that you could put towards implants or cosmetics if you're looking for any of that, or some dental offices or some offices do Botox. Those are low margin things that you can gift. We'll continue to, if I was an IV wellness clinic, I would go do that you get a free, every month, we'll give you up to $150 credit on your like IV, your immune boosting, energy boosting IV that as long as you post once a month for us. And here's what's great about this, Joe. Do you know how many 50-year-old women are sitting on TikTok just scrolling, looking for stuff to buy right now? A lot. A lot. In fact, it'd be right. Earl's laughing behind the camera. It's like if you were like, "Hey, we'll put $100 credit into your TikTok shop," they'd be like, "I don't even know what I'm gonna buy. This is amazing. I have something to do tomorrow." It's so true, man. It's so true. It's so funny. It's so funny. Just
to
oh my gosh, bro.
stuff on Amazon. He was actually a thing on TikTok.
Bro, it's even crazier because now this is what I mean by teaching the next generations going how to buy everything's on TikTok. Amazon's making a move to acquire TikTok right now. And the reason is it's very smart. I'm surprised X has not bought it, TikTok yet, because what's going to happen, the next generation of movement of commerce is going to be inside the platforms you're in, meaning Instagram, you're going to buy stuff. YouTube, you're just going to buy it in platforms. It's going to be 2 clicks. Oh, wow, I'm watching this. Cool. Yeah, you can, boom, take me to my store. Your credit card's installed, $39.95 a month. Not a problem, honey. You're going to buy, you're back to your show. And next thing, you just spent $50 and you didn't even blink at it. Whereas if you had to go off platform to Amazon, now the platform loses you as a viewer, which how do they make money? They make money keeping you in their stream because they could keep serving you ads. Does that make sense? So they don't want you leaving. So the innovation that TikTok figured out was we're going to allow our advertisers to keep everybody inside the platform to purchase. Okay. Yeah. So my daughter, you'll meet her later on. I should show you. I should have a screen on pictures. Like she goes at Tampa, University of Tampa. She goes to the mailbox every day because she's got packages from advertisers utilizing her as an influencer. Like $200 things. Like I'm like, Grace, your sisters need to be reaching out to the same companies. We'll triple dip on it. And then we'll go up to then we go sell for $200 out to go live stream. But that's phase 1 of it. So you get free swag. I'm trying to get her to send this to me. And, but now she can go on TikTok and now she takes her video reviews and she can direct link on her video that she posts on TikTok. Just like that. So like she just did this. She's like, running in Tampa, blah, blah, blah. Puts her feet on this like $200 massager. And that little video that she got paid to do, instead of linking it to Amazon and only getting paid 8%, she can link it directly to the TikTok shop and get paid 30%. So all of a sudden you got these little, like these teenagers making, a lot of money, man. I flat out told her, I was like, if you come back to Chicago and you're not making 10 grand a month with your influencer business and dad is giving you and the encouragement, everything that you need to do, because then I was like, the one thing you have that I don't have right now, honey, is you have time, right? Like you have time, like you could crack this code while everybody's have fun, party, do your thing. But when everybody's like really just being lazy and whatever, like I promise you, focus on this. You're in the right environment, you're in an entrepreneurial school. You focus on this for 3 years. I'm like, heck, you focus on it for 8 years. You'll never need to get a job. Like you can come live in our house. I don't care. But if you're grinding away at this, I promise you'll crack the code. And it's not going to take 3-4 years. Because when I started out, when I came home from nursing school and I came home and I told my parents I was going to be an entrepreneur, which meant I really didn't know what I was doing. There was no real, like I was listening to audio tapes that I was getting from like Brian Tracy and stuff from the library. Nowadays, you can get any course you want online. There's nothing that's being hidden. TikTok's an entirely transparent platform. I didn't realize this morning I was going to pitch you guys on why you got to be on TikTok. But here's what's really funny. It's a total transparent platform. I can see who's making money, how much money they're making, what videos are generating the revenue, what products are selling the most. You can figure out everything that you would need to know to reverse engineer like what a profitable business looks like in less than a couple hours of research. And yeah, funny story was I was at Arun's clinical event and there's a super nice guy. You guys might know who he is. I want to say his name's Jeff. I might be wrong on it. His daughter goes to the University of Tampa as well. He sold his dental practices for $28 million. And so we left there, we took the Uber back and I was asking him, I was like, dude, give me the lay of the land of this like these people didn't really seem interested in growing their business. Like, it was a weird group. And he's listen, he's just, I don't want to share for the camera purposes, but he just gave me a lay of the land. He goes, but you know what, dude, when you talk about AI and you talk about TikTok and you talk about the social media stuff, he goes, if you did a course that was for all these guys, like everybody that's involved in that community, they'd all be there because this interests them. Like them talking about the stuff that they're drilling and filling, or they're doing their other stuff. It's not as sexy. And I think for guys like our age, especially, like I don't know about you, but I think more about my kids' future than I think about my own future. I'm okay. My future is their future. Am I laying the groundwork properly so they have a place to go? And I'm just, but speaking of which, so where does this all come from? Is how, like, validating how things are changing. Is that, like, you look at a guy like Mr. Beast, his brand is worth like $10 billion right now. And what does he do? He posts YouTube videos. You got Alex Hermosi, who is his first company was helping gym owners grow their businesses. He sold that for $30 million. But his big push is by going all in on using content, his net worth jumped up last year from like 100 million to 200 million. And I would say it's probably jumping up another couple hundred million every year because they're acquiring businesses. But he's utilizing content as the main play. Joe Rogan, this was from a few years ago, but you remember he started his podcast and then Spotify sold his thing. You'll meet Keegan later today. She's just she's our miracle girl. But when she was going through long COVID and Lyme disease, we were listening to podcasts every day, trying to figure out a solution for her. And again, we weren't going to doctor websites or different websites and watching sales videos. We were listening to podcasts because why? Authorities around podcasts. And again, this just validates these guys. I'm not going to go too far into this because you guys get that, right? The last part here, before we might take like just a quick 10-minute break in a minute, but is to understand that price elasticity it's not in the worksheets yet. We'll go to the worksheets in a minute after we come back and break. The price elasticity is in direct correlation to your perceived expertise. And so this is what we look at. And have you guys seen this pyramid before? Oh, okay, great. Because sometimes depending on the crowd, I'll go faster through it. But the generalist, I have a slide for each one of these. Let me just bang through. Oh, the bad news is even though a less qualified, less skilled person is going to make more money than you if they are perceived as a celebrity, right? Okay, cool. So the generalist, right? This is the typical business, right? You never want to be the generalist. And that's usually, we do everything, we take everybody, and there's really nothing different about us than anyone else. And what they believe is, I'm going to give you all this. I'll just give it to you. Yeah. What they don't realize is that by serving everybody and doing everything, yeah, grab whatever you need, bud. Grab it all. Here's another thing. By serving everybody and not having anything unique that is different, you serve nobody. It goes back to wealthy people hate their problems more than people who can't afford to solve them. They want it done faster. They're looking for the person who specializes in that. And you go, well, Ed, but we serve everybody. It's no, you really don't. If you actually are honest with yourself, you don't. And so what we just want to avoid is we don't want to be the lowest paid. We don't want to be the one that deals with the most amount of fee resistance. Call my buddy Joe. He'll help you out. I don't want that. Hey, you can call Joe. Here's the thing, just so you know, like, they're not cheap, but they're the best. Okay. This is what they do. That's what I want. Like when people go rent our lake house, hey, I'll give you a sell to go rent it. Just let you know, go on VRBO to see what they charge per night before you pull a friend discount. He'll give you a friend discount, but it's still going to be more expensive than if you go get a 1-bedroom, right? I don't want to be like, I'm dealing with haggling a friend. I don't want that. And so generalists are always people who deal with the most cash flow issues. They deal with the most price resistance. They work the most amount of hours, and they don't know why they can't get out of the cycle. And it's not until they say, who's the 20% that pays for 80%, and how do I position my business to serve them? and then we package our messaging to serve them is to when I start moving up the ladder. Okay. Now the authority is higher up let me just go right back one more. Sorry. The authority is, we go specialist, but the goal is to be authority because the authority is the one you go to, right? The trick question is, hey, your child has a heart issue. It's a rare form of a heart issue, which this is only for example purposes only. I bind and rebuke anything that would make anyone think that this is actually a prophecy. But there's a heart issue. I don't want my local surgeon who does not have the expertise in this rare form of blank, right? I want, gun to my head, this is who I'm going to go choose. And I want to figure out, how do I become that person, right? How do I become that person? Because money now just went out the window. No one cares about the cost. Now you may say, Ed, what I do for a living really isn't that like severe. Okay. But let me share this with everybody. It doesn't need to be, because if we're going after a certain segment of the market where money is not necessarily the concern, and say it's not life tragic, but I would say I've been in the country clubs where like I'm listening to the old guys talk and the one guy's complaining about his thing and can't eat the food, and then if someone goes, hey, you need to call my guy blank, or they're not like, hey, call my local guy. Yeah, I'm sure he can help you out. He's a really nice guy. But he's no, dude, quit that crap. You sound like a fool. Now, if the guy's already got the money, he's got the pain, he's got the problem, and now the pain has become consistent enough in his life, so the timing's right. He's now going to make a decision because his identity and internal reputation is the driving force to get him to go do that. Yeah, it's fear, uncertainty, and doubt is why most people don't move forward with things. And so while as a parent, I might go choose a doctor because they specialize in what I'm doing there. But as an adult, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, like most adults in general are walking around feeling inadequate most of the time. They just are, like, about most decisions. And so if you could alleviate fear, alleviate uncertainty, and alleviate doubt, and then validate their identity, they're going to move quickly through that. Oh, I went to this doc. Yeah, he's got a whole YouTube channel. That guy's everywhere. People respect him. He's the best one out there. He's the best out there. She's the best at this. She's the best with this. Or I get to brag now. It fulfills my identity, my reputation. It validates my internal reputation with myself. Interesting. So you have a patient, client, or customer. That's right. Why are you going to this golf pro? He's the best one at the club. Oh, why didn't you go with like the 19-year-old who failed out of school? There's only people that can only afford $40 go to him. I go to the head pro. Oh yeah, he's the best, man. He's the best. Oh my God. Where'd you get that new glove? Oh my God, that's amazing. No, making fun of all my golf. Okay, so that's the authority where you just got to go to him now or her. Now the celebrity is when we transcend that. Now that's another price elasticity thing. And by the way, I'm not saying you just go out and raise prices. I'm not saying do that. But what I am saying is that if you're going to charge a certain amount and you want to accelerate your ability to attain higher fees, you got to understand, like, where are we operating from? What are we doing here? Oh, tell me how it's going to go on your podcast. Bro, the ship sailed. Like, the next time it's an opportunity for you, it's 3 times the price. This was a rare opportunity. You guys were fast movers, right? When guys do this, it's usually 10 to 15, 0 question. And then this was like, hey, I'm visiting my daughter if anyone wants to get together. So when those guys wait on that, so I failed on positioning myself as a celebrity with them, but now it's moving, the shift's moving. But I want to move up here because now we're moving out of logical thinking. We're moving into word of mouth, commanding higher fees. We're going to reduce accessibility. There's got to be demand, tension has to go up, so supply goes down. so that there's a real true, like one's going up, one's going down, in that there's a true tension in your capacity to fulfill that. And
Is that go and see them now because they get booked up so far that we may not get the opportunity or something like that?
when my daughter's was with the Lyme disease, we had to work with an integrative medicine doctor that took 4 months to get into.
Yeah.
And
That's what I mean.
as much as I hated it, and I thought, it's one part of me loves her and another part of me just thinks it's a whole big scam because it's a cash practice, and there's just frustrations around certain like autoimmune diseases that anyone who's dealt with it, which is a large percentage of our population, going to a doctor and they're like, we know you have this, but we don't know what else is going on there. So we're going to put you on 3 months of supplements and then you're going to come back and it's going to be $700 cash every time you come in, but we can't give you a good answer. It's a little frustrating. However, you're like, she's the only one in the area who is specialized in Lyme literate doctors. So guess what? I'm going to her. Frustrating as hell. But so yeah, she's the legitimate. Hey, call her now. Get on her schedule now. Call her now. Get on her schedule now. Like that is it. No, what's her fee? It's expensive. And everyone we refer to her, guess what? Doesn't matter what their income level is. They figure out a way to get on our calendar. So they're figuring out pulling money from wherever, family members, wherever, to do it. Why? Because their kid's sick. They can't function. They're like, oh, we'll do whatever it takes. And so, yeah, so that's the authority level. Now, so how do we do that? We build out an authority funnel. Then just 2 more minutes, take a quick little break, is that we build out an authority funnel. When people want to come into your office, they have to fill out a survey, and we position your ads to drive them to a video interview. Why interviews? Because people who are on stage are perceived as the authority. What's the next level of a stage? Being interviewed on stage, right? And so it goes on that. So it's pretty incredible how that works, right? And that is the beginning of it. And then you're creating compliance by getting them to fill out the forms. It's a little bit of that. They're self-identifying themselves. When we ask questions like, which problem best describes your situation, they're identifying and communicating. That helps them qualify themselves, audit themselves. You said this, going back to a Cialdini principle in the book Influence, people have to be consistent with what commitment and consistency is one of his influence things. So when people start saying yes, it's the whole yes frame. But if they're like, I want help. Okay, is this a now thing or is it down the road thing? It's a now thing. Okay, which one of these best describes your problem? I'm having, my back pain is how often is it? Every single day. Okay. Are you in a financial situation to invest in yourself, or are you going to insurance, wherever the question might be? But if they're like, yeah, they're making the commitment and consistency, great. Here's the button. Call our office today and book an appointment, or Susie will call you. I'm driving more to trying to get people, like if they watch your videos, that they call your office instead of putting the pressure with offices. And I've seen this with banks. I've seen this with offices. I've seen this with sales teams where they're not designed to be outbound callers, and they're not designed to handle a larger volume of cold to warmer leads, which means you might have 50, 60% of those leads might be not warm. So if you put on somebody on the phone who's not used to that, they're going to be like, these leads suck. This is what outbound calling looks and feels. Expect that. Now, if your framing was, hey, I'm calling from XYZ office. We just received your request for a voucher, and I see that you mentioned that this is something you want to handle now. We'd love to hear from you and help you with any questions you have. Just give us a call back at bop, 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 bop. And that's it. Like if it's more, I'm advocating for you, I'm not trying to get you in. I've had offices where it's like, hey, you better call now to get your free thing. Those are the ones that have the most amount of no-shows and the worst quality people show up, because the person on the phone thinks their job is to just get people on the books. That's not their job. Their job is to help them make a good decision and help them be qualified, so that when you go in, you're looking at the highest dollar per hour opportunity, whether you're scheduling a phone call for somebody or selling via virtual or selling in person. What you're really looking for is not everybody to be on your schedule. You're looking to make sure that the people who are most likely to move forward with the money, and we've taken care of them and they've gone through, like, did you watch the interview yet? Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, not a problem. Why don't we do this? Why don't you watch the interview of Dr. Joe? He'll answer almost every question you have. You said Wednesday mornings are the best for you. Yeah. Okay. Here's what I'll do. I'll soft hold this for you, but I'm not going to confirm it until you watch the interview. Or they call, yeah, I want to take you up on the free consult. Okay. Hey, okay. I see you found us on Facebook or on whatever. Not a problem. I always say not a problem is always the best language. Not a problem. Okay. No problem. No problem. Great. So let me ask a question. And then we take back over the control. Did you watch the interview? Okay. So did you watch the whole interview with Sanjay? I watched half of it. Okay. Do you have 15 minutes to finish it, like right now? And then what I'll do is I'll hold this for you. You said, okay, what day is best for you? Tuesday, Wednesday, good. Okay, I want you to go through the whole thing just so you understand how, like the FIOP and the different options. He explains it best, and then we'll get you in to come see him. Is that okay? And if they're like, nah, then they're probably going to be that way when they get in there. I don't think people think that much about that. I think people like tend to follow rules when you say this is how we work. Like the specialist, the expert, the authority, he's not asking for people's permission. He or she is, this is how we operate due to the demand, due to our, like, we have a lot of people trying to get in to see Joe. We just ask that you take a few minutes to make sure we do that. It answers all your questions so that we can maximize your time here so we can get you the end result. It looks like you have this problem and you're looking for possibly this solution. Okay, cool. But let me just explain this. The conversation that what I'm describing right this second is this does not happen that often. What I was saying was if we're doing outbound calls, it'll probably happen more often, and where you're like, okay, great. Want to make sure you got the videos. We try and answer all your questions before you ever get in, which actually instills confidence in our patients. This way, and people love our office because they feel like they know us. We do this to help people make better decisions. If you take that frame versus, oh no, we just see everybody who comes in, again, like you're not that would never happen with a cardiac surgeon specialist who is very busy. He's the best in the business. We try and set up all the context to give yourself the best opportunity to win. In business, better buyers, better margins, really good messaging with a service that we can provide that's unique and solves problems. We're creating better buyers. Yeah. The better buyers will appreciate that we're doing this for them. We're going to do an exercise when we come back in from break that'll hopefully clarify some of it, because I'll get you reassociated to a couple things. Okay.
That's good.